All right, the SPY nicely back under 200. It is touching the 8-day today. It certainly looks like, wow, we're way extended and it's time to start rolling over. And we might have 2 or 3 down days in a row. We might be headed back down to here. I don't know, but it's still, to me, bulls are really in charge. This one red day, a lot of people are waiting for red days, to get a pullback. So, keep that in mind. I'm not very good at looking at the SPY and telling you what's going to happen because find myself befuddled more often than not in moves in the overall market. So, I try to concentrate on individual stocks. And let's start with Solar City for tomorrow. Now, this one, SCTY had news deal with Whole Foods Markets, I think. They're going to put solar panels on Whole Foods, I think, all across the country. But you know what? This thing had already run 3 or 4 days in a row. Let me get that line out of there. That was pre-market high, I think. And so now, it doesn't surprise me. It's got to come in. I'd like to see it come in another day or two, and I bet you we get a nice long trade in this one again. But I'm going to start watching it, even though you could argue that, it broke this 25 resistance and came down and touched it again. And it could be up from here, but I'd like to see it come in for another day. But I still want to start watching SCTY for a continued up move. I think there's a lot of shorts in that one. VRNG. If you take today's candle out of it, this thing looks pretty good, right? You had a nice run up to 278, and then yesterday it hit 280, so it looks really good up over that area. Then today, kind of a quiet, low volume inside day. So sometimes you get a pop, quiet inside day, and the third day it goes. So let's watch, not a lot in the way as far as resistance. So I want to keep my eye, and the volume on this one too, by the way. A lot of volume on this push up, and then again, a lot of volume today, or yesterday, sorry. So this one's interesting. It looks like something's getting ready to happen. So let's keep our eyes on VRNG. ARP, you're going to see a few stocks that look like this for tomorrow. I believe this is a low float oil and gas play. Had a big move with everything else, all the others in that industry yesterday. And then, again, quiet inside day to day. Might be back up tomorrow, depending on 100%, depending on oil, though. So we'll keep our eyes, as we always do lately, on oil. And if oil gets a bounce, this is a good candidate as far as a potential percentage move. That's why I like the price of this one. Got great support below, right, and then a pop, and then a first day down. So this one it's pretty interesting to me. Pier 1, PIR, gapped up on earnings, and today started to run again, but reversed and closed near its lows. I look at something like this as it went from 550 to 750. So that's a pretty big move, right? You had a gap in there, and so now we're down at 650. This one might turn up again. I don't like the fact that it took out yesterday's high and then reversed it, closed at the low. So for me, kind of far from the moving averages. Excuse me, moving averages. I'd like to see this one come in another day as well, but I'm going to start watching it tomorrow. EGLE, you'll see a lot of charts like this today. A big 2-day move, and then it came back down and gave up a portion of that move on lower volume. That is a good setup for a bounce play, a nice lower priced stock. Any strength in the market, and that one might just rip back higher. So I want to watch that one. ORIG, fairly similar to the others, a real nice move. Again, lower volume oil and gas play. I'm making sure that, it says oil and gas drilling, and some of them are just oil and gas. Let me try to figure out how they word it. Oil and drilling exploration versus independent oil and gas, which is what ARP was. I don't know if that makes a difference to you, but they all seem to move together. So ORIG had a pretty nice move here. And look at the volume. So from, let's see, this day it closed at 86 cents and in 2 sessions went to $1.67. So basically a double lower high today, but this one actually held up fairly well. Switch to 15-minute candles, and you kind of have a trend line or a flag there. So up maybe back through $1.50 tomorrow. This one's interesting again while watching oil. I think that's another. I try to populate my charts with high recent relative volume, or recent high relative volume. I don't know how to word that. And also, watch for, I like the lower price ones that can give me a nice percentage move. It's not the only thing I'll try. I'll even trade Netflix, but that's kind of what I like to populate my charts with. BAS, same deal, right? Really nice move. Came back in today. Maybe another day down, who knows, but that's another one to watch. OPTT, lower float, low price stock, 200,000 shares moved this pretty nicely percentage-wise. You had a big spike back here that had a high of 245. Today's high, 233. So if we get a red to green or something like that, then you've got a 234 potential catalyst. and then maybe through 250, and anything could happen. So that's a low float stock. Let's watch OPTT. LEU. Okay, now this thing made a monster move today. And so, I don't want to chase it, but anytime you get a monster move, the next day you can get a nice setup. Real quick, I'm pretty proud of this call. I called this right here in the chat room today at 188. It sold off initially. We had it on our gap play watch list because it's a low float stock. It was getting pre-market volume. And right when it got back up to this point, I said I like this at 188, 189, or 190. Anywhere in here, looking for a push through the pre-market highs, which was 2. I said that's your next catalyst. You get through 2, this could squeeze, and boom. It just went crazy. So almost as good of an entry as you can get today, 188. A lot of people made a killing in chat today. Went all the way to 405. Do I want to chase this tomorrow? No. But anytime you get a low float stock, all of a sudden 15 million shares traded and held up pretty well, all things considered. That's a huge move. I want to watch that for the next week going forward. So that's got to be on a chart tomorrow. EPE along that same theme. Really high volume yesterday, and then came in today, quiet inside day, maybe again higher tomorrow. Some of these low float energy plays just had crazy moves, but sometimes we all look at that and think, okay, well that's got to come in. It's probably going to round trip to where it started from over the next couple of weeks or months or whatever, and it might. But while we still have recent high relative volume, as day traders, we want to keep that on watch because there's a lot of money to be made in a short period of time if they set up correctly. And finally, another one in that same vein, SDRL, huge move, lower high yesterday, and then today closed at its lows. I'd like to see this one come in another day, and I think we could get a big move in it in the next day or two, but already going to throw it on watch tomorrow. Hopefully we'll find some nice gappers like we did today in that LEU. And I'm going to leave it at that. Have a great rest of your evening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.